Thanks, Jim and Amy. Good morning. To answer this question, is diversity what we really need? I would say absolutely. Yes, it's what we really need. As Jim just stated, our community is rapidly changing. We have seen exponential growth in the state of Missouri and even here in St. Louis with the changes in our Latino communities, our Asian communities. We know that our LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community is growing. And this is the first time in our workplace that we have 4 generations working together. For those of you who have this type of diversity, specifically the age diversity, you know what sorts of challenges and highlights the millennials and the boomers bring. And you know that this is a reality in terms of our success as leaders in this community to figure this out. And so as we talk about diversity and inclusion in our community, we have to be realistic about what our data says. Our research shows that nonprofits have diversity and inclusion low on our priority list. This isn't something that is in our strategic plans. This isn't a conversation we're having daily. This isn't something that our boards have engaged in as of yet. Many employers will say, we believe in diversity, we embrace it, but the problem is that it's in concept, it's in theory, it's not in substantiated action. Employees have told me that that is the problem, that they want to see action, and that theory and concept just isn't enough. And so I would say, sure, in my experience, leaders may have a superficial commitment to diversity. It's easy to say, I embrace diversity, I'm on board. But I would actually argue that more organizations just don't know what to do and how to do it. It's not an issue of superficial commitment, it's just the how. And so I want to offer a few things of what you should do and maybe things to avoid as you're thinking about this diversity journey. So first, being reactive to diversity and inclusion is probably not a good idea. I have gotten several calls over the years where people have said, can you help us? We have a problem, we need you to come right now. That's not the type of call I really want to get. The type of call I want to get is, we don't know what to be doing. We need to be doing something, but we don't know what that is. Can you help? Absolutely. The second thing is giving the diversity responsibility to the Black person, the Asian person, the gay person in the organization. And I see some heads nodding and some smiles, so you all may have been targeted already. It's not their responsibility. It is the responsibility of the entire organization if you want to do it well and you want to do it right. Third, diversity is not something that you can check the box. This is not a check the box effort. Diversity is something that takes energy, effort, and real sincere investment once you understand how valuable it truly is. And lastly, sometimes I have conversations with people and they will tell me that they get it, that they're good, that they don't need diversity training, that they don't need to have conversations. And we're in a nonprofit space, so Amy, I think I can say this. We may have had several Obama voters in the room, and you may think that just because you voted for Obama, you get this. And I would say, you may not. Let's just examine that. Let's just talk about that. And so a couple things to consider in terms of doing this diversity journey and doing it right is defining what diversity means to you. Often, and particularly in this community, we define diversity by race. Diversity is much more than that. It includes religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, socioeconomic status, age, and we could go on and on. So it's incumbent on you to define what diversity means to you as the leader in your organization and organizationally. How does your culture define diversity? Then you have to explore the business case for diversity in your organizations. Corporations are doing this every day. They're figuring out why diversity is a business imperative to them. They're figuring out why diversity is going to make them make more money at the end of the day. We can do the same thing. We have to understand the business case for diversity in terms of our constituents, in terms of our clients, in terms of our mission. Third, we have to engage in diversity training and assessments. It is so important that we figure out what we don't know about this topic. We have to figure out where this conversation fits among our leadership, among our staff, our volunteers, our boards. If your board is completely homogenous, please call me, like right now, or have the conversation, figure it out. Figure out who else you need, because that diversity will lead to more creativity, more innovation, and just a real connectedness to your community. And finally, be willing to go through a good deal of growing pains. Diversity is not easy. And again, as I just said, if it's done right, it takes time. It's hard work. It's not so simple. And so be willing to have the uncomfortable conversations. Be willing to ask the hard questions. And be willing to hear feedback that maybe you didn't think existed in your organization. And so as we examine our role in leadership and in the context of this conversation, we have to begin to address the role that diversity and inclusion, as Elizabeth stated, the role that they play now and in our very near future. Thank you.